Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Beardy's News Roundup. Welcome to my newsroom.
Woo.
Joining me tonight is our very own female Jen Sterling, Miss Anara. Say hello, Anara.
Hello, hello.
Oh, we've got some news this week, but first...
It's been a week.
It's been a week. First, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. So, as always, on a Friday, I have been trawling through the Tinterweb trying to find you some good news stories from this week. And there's been a lot to go through. It took me hours last night to go through all this and get it ready, but it's going to be okay. A little bit of housekeeping. Sunday, we're going to be back with another episode of the podcast, so make sure you join us. This week, it's going to be Tiggs hosting with his Category Is episode, which is going to be a bit like a roulette episode where there's lots of little miniature categories that we're going to talk about and have a good old fun chinwag. We've also got a stream after this, so make sure you stick around. About 30 minutes or so after we've finished the news roundup, we're going to come back and play some Phasmophobia, which should be fun because I love a scary game, but I'm also a wimp, so I probably will scream. And Sif's probably going to have his ears bleeding by the end of it as I'm like, ah! So that should be a lot of fun. Today, Anara, we have got
news.
We've got 8 items on our little news roundup, starting with story number 1. Oh, before I get into story number 1, quick reminder, all the news articles and stuff will be linked in the YouTube video when it goes live on the VOD for you to catch up on, because I didn't write the news, I just found the news, I ingested it, and I gave it back to you. So, important to cite the sources that we got them from in the first place. However, item number 1.
Also, we should probably say in this first item, we're going to be talking about things dealing with the stock market. Neither of us are financial advisors.
Yes.
Neither of us are professionals. Anything we say here is not financial advice.
Yes.
That is also important to say for legal reasons, because we will be giving our opinions on kind of what's been going on here.
Yeah. Full disclaimer.
This is not advice.
Don't
Please
know
don't
anything
listen to
about
us.
stocks. Don't know anything
We're just
about legal
idiots on the
advice.
internet.
Yeah. So, story number 1 is a little quote I reworked from The Wolf of Wall Street, which is, how the fuck else are you supposed to do this job? Reddit, Robinhood, my friend. So, in a story that will shock no one that's been anywhere near the gaming websites in the last 2 to 3 days, there has been something going on with GameStop stock of late. After a slow decline in GameStop's general overall stock value over the last few years, as it tried to find its place in the gaming landscape, and then also the impact of COVID-19 has really hit them hard, just like many other sectors like hospitality and everything else. When you have a business that relies on people coming into your store to buy video games, and you can't leave your house, yeah, it's not very a good business model, to be fair, but they've been trying, bless them. So then this whole stock thing starts. So it all starts with the practice of short selling. Right. Now, I'm going to say this again.
Would you like me to explain this?
I'm going to give it a go, right? Because I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I think I kind of got an understanding from what I was reading. So short selling, which is a method where investors borrow stock in exchange for like an IOU, and then that stock could then lose value and be bought back by the original stock owner, and their profits are then pocketed by the person who lent it in the first place. I think that's how it works. You've got a really good analogy with bananas, which I'll let you do in a second. There's specialty firms that look after this kind of stock, and they normally do this when it comes to companies that might actually be going under. So in this case, it was GameStop. They felt that the bets that they were putting on there were good because they thought the company may fail at some point, and therefore they would be able to return on investment. However, a thread on Reddit under r/Wall Street Bets has labeled itself as a 4chan with Bloomberg terminal, whatever that fucking means. I have no idea. It's their mantra, and they saw this short selling of the GME stock and decided that they wanted to fight back and try and save their childhood gaming stores by buying the stocks and thus increasing the overall value of the stock. This is bad news for the short stock investors because as the IOU increases in price, they then lose on the ability to make the profit on it and then have to pay back into the company whatever the extra is that the stock's now worth. now Wall Street is crying out because people who once knew little about to nothing about stocks are now making huge sums of money, while those who usually make the money are losing out. My, the tables have turned. I think I did an okay job of explaining that, but Anara
did a pretty okay job for somebody who doesn't play the stock market or have any idea how any of this works.
no, I just regurgitate words. But Anara, you've got a really good banana analogy. So tell us your banana analogy.
Okay, so short selling is a practice of somebody borrowing a stock from someone else to sell it and then hopefully buy it back later when it's worth less so they can pocket the difference. So the best way that I can explain this is an analogy using banana and apes. We all we're all apes here. So an ape on the market has 5 bananas. They're priced at $10. And a snake comes along and decides that he would like to borrow these bananas to share, to sell, and that buy them back later because he assumes that eventually they'll go down in price, be it by demand or people just don't want to buy bananas. Well, somebody in another group of apes discovered this was happening and bought all the bananas. So now that snake can't buy back his banana, his debt, and he's kind of just in a bit of a pickle. Um, the way that this works in GameStop's favor is a little bit different. It's kind of as if 10 of those, if that snake sold 10 bananas when only 5 on the planet existed, and now there's literally not enough bananas for them to get back. They, the short interest on float right now is like 250 because since all of this crazy stuff has happened, all of those hedge funds have since doubled down on their positions, despite the fact that the media reported that they closed their shorts positions. That is completely false. Otherwise, the float wouldn't be double what it was when we actually started seeing this happen. All the credit's got to go to 2 Reddit users in particular. User Deep Fucking Value, who got doxxed today, and I will not be giving anyone the information for the article to find that in because I think it's abhorrent. But NBC doxxed the man today, so that's fun. Who currently, I think his stuff's worth like 18 million, something like that. The other day when it spiked, it was like 22. Man's made a lot of money, still not selling. I own stock. I'm also not selling. Full disclaimer, I also work there, so when I can buy and sell stock is also a little bit more complicated. But yeah, I'm not going to sell no matter what. This is the message. And Roaring Kitty, who's actually the YouTube video on his thesis, is incredible because he's the one who points out that uh, short interest on float was like 140%, which means they shorted a 40 additional percent of shares that do not actually exist.
Oh
They
dear.
were essentially banking on GameStop going completely bankrupt because if the company goes completely bankrupt and the share price goes to zero, well, you don't even have to pay back your debt now because the shares are worthless.
Yes.
Um, which means you get to run away with all of the money. And that was kind of their plan. They got it as low. I think the record low was $2.75.
For me, this,
And now the big thing is that we're being accused of market manipulation.
yeah.
And that's false because I will put this forward. Literally, all we did was look at the data, go, you like this stock? There's money to be made in it. And then we bought the stock.
I think
That's it.
the thing with the market manipulation and everything else is it's a gray area as to what that actually means because there's certain tests that they do to see
There
if
is a
that's
specific definition for
yeah.
market manipulation. And somehow short selling, then going on TV to talk about how bad a company is so other people will sell and short sell is not market manipulation,
Mm.
even if the things that you're saying are a little bit misleading. Essentially, market manipulation, as defined by the SE, is saying something completely false or intentionally misleading to drive the price of a stock.
Mm.
That's it. That is the only thing that can be considered market manipulation under the law.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
um,
It's a crazy
the only people
situation.
doing that are the hedge funds. So
Mm.
I'm on the side of the little guy. We've also seen some weird, slanderous, these are all Trump supporters kind of weirdness, but a large part of these people are leftists.
I, the
Um,
whole thing, like,
this
now
is a populist
The White House is
uprising.
stepping in and monitoring the situation. You got all these politicians in the state. I don't know much about American politics. I'm not from the US. I don't really follow it that much. But
Um,
there's people that don't, from what I understand, don't normally work together or see eye to eye, are coming together to kind of say, "Hey, like we're all on the same page with
we
this."
had AOC agreeing with Donald Trump Jr. It was a weird experience. Um, that's over brokerages like Robinhood not allowing people to purchase stock anymore, which if that is not a cut and dry case of market manipulation,
Yeah.
I don't really know what is. They have allowed people to sell, so you can still liquidate your position. You can cash out and go home. But you can no longer buy stock. And this morning they reopened purchasing, but only for people who owned less than 5 shares. So you
Mm.
could only buy up to 5 shares in GameStop through Robinhood. And now they've lowered it even further to only 2 shares. You can buy 2 shares of GameStop, and that's it. That's all you're allowed to buy. After that, all you can do is cash out and liquidate your position. And I think that's garbage. That is pure market manipulation because the way that the market works is you can sell into the float.
Mm.
Just sell at market price. You sell into the floating stock that's available for anybody. There is no buyer on the other. And
The-
that's what's going to cause the share prices to drop because the way that the stock works is supply and demand. If a lot of people are trying to buy something that is very difficult to purchase because most people own it, the price will go up, as what
mm.
is happening in what the squeeze that's going on is everyone is trying to buy this. The Wall Street bets people are trying to buy it to screw over the hedge funds, and the hedge fund people are trying to buy it so they don't lose billions and billions and billions of dollars. So the price just keeps going up and up and up. And we had it hit like what? A high of 470 something a
Yeah, it
couple
was
days ago.
something
It's
crazy.
insane. Um, but if all these people are allowed to do is sell, well, then there's a lot of supply. Nobody's allowed to buy.
Mm.
So it's artificially decreasing demand,
Yeah,
which will push the stock price back down.
yeah.
What they're
The
trying to
thing that I
do
found
with
was
that.
really interesting with the whole Robin Hood situation is, and I don't know if you know this, but I heard this on another podcast. Some of their investors and shareholders in that company actually run a hedge funding business that's been
Hedge
massively
funds that bailed out the
yeah,
one that went bankrupt because of
yeah,
the short squeeze.
yeah.
Yep.
So I
There's a
think
whole
it's a
lot of weird
very
shady garbage.
very interesting circle of events that's
Something
happened
smells
there.
wrong.
Yeah,
And they're breaking laws. Like, you are legally not allowed to do this.
yeah,
One, you're guaranteed under the Constitution equal protection under the law. If Robinhood and other brokerages are not letting retail traders buy stock, but are allowing hedge funds to freely trade back and forth, which is what's been happening, you have now violated a law set forth by the Constitution,
yeah,
equal protection under the law. This has gotten to a point, and the biggest problem is we don't trust the government to fix it. We don't trust the SEC to fix it.
yeah,
They didn't fix it in 2008, and that's what this is at this
yeah,
point. It went from a meme way to make money. It was a meme stock. Let's be
yeah.
honest. We all bought it to see if we could get a squeeze happen, but it was a meme. We're all just having a little fun. Nobody put any more money into it than they were willing to lose because it was like it's a it was basically what has happened could not have happened under any other set of
Yeah.
circumstances.
And some of the
It
things
had
that
to be overshorted. People had to buy in. It had to be as low as it was to allow this many people to be able
yeah,
to afford to buy in at the amounts they did under any other set of circumstances. This doesn't work. But
it's
it's revenge now.
under this the article that I got this from. So I pulled this up from IGN, and they interviewed some of the guys from the Reddits and everything else, and it just makes me laugh because there's such a real carefree kind of attitude to how this is going. Like, just like you said, people with fucking deep fucking whatever his
Fucking
name
value.
was.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was losing money
he's
forever. He invested in GameStop like
yeah.
over a year ago. I
People
thought he
like
was
him are just like we're only investing because YOLO or FOMO or like I'm just like it blows my
so this is
mind that this
this
has happened.
This is like GameStop YOLO. We all
Yeah,
YOLO'd money into it. It's of people who YOLO'd second mortgages into this. And it started out very much as like this mini YOLO thing. If you go and look through the subreddit now, there's a lot of stories coming out from people got into this and are staying in this, and we're holding the line because we remember 2008.
Yeah.
We remember when housing market bubble burst, and I know people who lost their homes, lost their jobs, lost almost everything, everything. And we're the generation that grew up with no economy. These people destroyed the economy
Yeah.
in '08. It was ruined. There wasn't anything left. It was the subprime mortgage crisis, and then the Long Short is a movie based off of one guy betting that it would burst while the rest of them recklessly played with people's lives.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy
And
situation. What do you think is
now it's
going to be
revenge.
the
No, this isn't about the money.
yeah? What do you think is
It's
going to be the
personal.
outcome of all this when all said and done, and
Oh,
this all clears itself up and everything? Do you think there's going to be any real changes to the way that stocks happen, or the market, or the regulation, or anything like that? Do you think anything's going to happen with it?
this will get regulated way faster than they'll regulate a stimulus check so that we can all survive despite the fact that it's working.
Yeah.
Because the biggest problem is the reason we don't trust the government or the SEC is because these people own them.
Yeah.
Where their money comes. They pay people for it. AOC did a stream last night and said some pretty enlightening things.
Mm.
Love her and her like willingness to like go on Twitch and like talk to her constituents. By the
Yeah.
way, like she is probably the coolest member of Congress on the planet. I don't know how coolness ranks on like I'm effective, but she is definitely um she's she's on the financial services um which for a long time was considered a money committee because
Mm.
they're the ones that's the committee in Congress that oversees things like the stock market
Yeah.
and cash flow and all of that. So they make those laws, and it's considered a money committee because the people who wanted them to make certain laws would pay politicians crap loads of money to sign off on things. It was a way to get lobbyists backing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is yeah, it'll get regulated, but it'll get regulated to the same way it did in '08, where they made it so that you could only do certain things if you had a certain amount of money in your account on the stock market. They will make the stock market less accessible to normal people. And
I
I'm
think
sorry, you gave a
that's
bunch of people stimulus checks and they're all stuck at home doing nothing right now. What did you think they were going to do?
I think that's the thing that concerns me ever so slightly, and again, something I picked on when kind of researching this and everything else, is that the fear is that this will make things like Robinhood, or I don't know, I get adverts for it all the time, don't know if it's the right thing, but like trading 212 and all those kind of just download an app and we kind of teach you how to do it, and it's small things and you can buy into bits and bobs and everything else, will stop because they may then go look at this and go, well, this needs to be regulated, and if you're not having your stocks and stuff managed by a broker, then you won't be able to do this anymore. And I think that's a really
The
awkward
biggest thing that we're all
situation.
scared of is probably that.
Yeah,
But the other thing is regardless, this sent a message.
yeah.
And that's the point. And we're not even really sure when it's going to end because as of right now, market closes and we'll still all be holding. And we're all retail traders. We don't do after hours.
We're in a
That's the thing is we're all holding. No one is selling. So this doesn't burst until the hedge funds give up
yeah,
and just take tens of billions of dollars of loss. Or we sell. And we're
it's
not doing that.
yeah. It's like the financial version of chicken. Like who's gonna
Yeah,
who's gonna go?
essentially.
Well,
And it's
I
so
think
weird. This is you want a populist revolution? This is your populist
yeah.
revolution.
I think this is something that we could probably sit here for the next 45 minutes to an hour talking about, but
There's
I
things
don't
to
think
talk
this isn't going to go away. So like, let's check back in this next Friday, see what crazy shit's going on in the stock market. This might become
about.
another regular thing, just like our cyberpunk
Like a
stories.
hey, what
Yeah.
messed up what messed up the stock market this week?
All right, moving on to story number 2, Medium by Name, Medium by Nature. The Medium came out this week, and it's the first Xbox Series exclusive title. And the scores are in, so we're going to go to Metacritic and have a little look at how they've been reviewing. Although, as the title may suggest it's not probably the score people were looking for. So 71 on Metacritic based on 61 critical reviews. So if we just scroll down and just, I'm going to pick a top, middle, and bottom. So we'll go to the first one at GameSpot, who gave it a 90. We might as well keep on trend with this. And eventually the medium narrative threads begin to weave together, even connecting the original goal of discovering Marianne's origins. The promise that everything somehow connects into some unforeseen and fascinating way is a thrilling reason to see the game all the way through. The connections to real-world events of Polish history make many of the revelations even more poignant. Even if the supernatural aspects are fictional, it's deeply unsettling to think about how some evil presence in this game did actually occur. And to that end, this writing is so small on my screen, the medium conclusion sticks with you. It's one last horrifying reminder that trauma may not define a person, but it can have consequences we can't even begin to foresee. Scrolling on to another one, we've got, hi Zach, nice to see you in the chat. Let's go for a lower score. Comicbook.com gave it a 60 out of 100. The medium certainly has story worth telling, but the stop-and-go nature of the vehicle of the narrative may prevent some from fully exploring it. The Xbox Game Pass release seems to be a smart route for the game because of that. And while I'm not normally hesitant to experience games in this way, I feel like I would enjoy the medium more if I'd watch somebody else play it. Whoops, that's a bit fucking harsh.
That's unfortunate.
And then The Guardian wrote, give it a 40, which is a very low score. The medium is hugely ambitious and could have been a site for an incredible innovative storytelling. Instead, it fumbles sensitive topics, plot points evaporate into thin air, and the character who are studied closely are left behind and never mentioned again. Even while taking notes, the story became difficult to follow. It took me 12 hours over 3 nights to play, and towards the finale, I was astounded by how a game so short could feel so long. This certainly is a game of two worlds, one very beautiful and one empty, unfortunately leaving the game that's all skin and no spirit.
Thanks.
Anara,
that's a woofer.
Yeah, have you played the medium?
I have not, and I do not own an Xbox. I imagine you can get it on PC because like all of the Microsoft exclusives are on PC now. It was interesting when I first saw it because I was like, this looks a lot more Japanese than most of Xbox exclusive properties in the past. And I was interested. Having seen the reviews, though, I'm just kind of... Even watching just, like, there's a little gameplay snippet, like a gameplay trailer. The gameplay looked really slow and kind of clunky and uncomfortable to play through, and...
Well,
I don't know.
I was going to play on stream.
This bad.
I was going to play on stream, but I've realized very late that it was just coming to Xbox Series X and S. Because I don't know why, I just assumed because Xbox had come out saying that they weren't going to leave the old generation behind for a couple of years yet, that we'd get a few years of cross-gen. But then I remembered because of the nature of this game, apparently it was... They couldn't do it on the Xbox One because of how the two worlds render at the same time and everything else. So I managed to get it on Game Pass for PC. So I played, maybe 2 hours of it last night. And so far, it's a very good looking game, but I don't see anything that stopped it from being on the older generation of consoles. Because...
I think it might have been a cash grab.
I really don't know, because it came to Game Pass, so there's no real cash in it to some extent. Unless you're buying it through Steam or you're buying it through the Windows Store. If you have Game Pass, it's included, it's no extra cost. The scenes where you swap in between the two worlds, and it is really cleverly done, where you're playing two games at the same time almost. You've got the same character, but in these two different worlds. One is this spiritual afterlife, very Silent Hilly, with flesh and stuff hanging off the walls. It's all very creepy. And then there's the actual world that she's in. It's great. But before you hit that, there is like a miniature cutscene, so I don't understand how They couldn't have made that work on an older gen. It doesn't make sense to me. It is very slow.
The cash grab is they wanted the game to look good and get
Yeah.
great reviews so that when the Xboxes are available, more people will upgrade faster.
Exactly.
That's the cash grab.
It's got fixed camera angles because I love.
Souls, which is the only worthwhile like PS5 exclusive, really could not have been done on a last gen console. There's just no way that it would have overheated the thing and it might have exploded.
Yeah, I mean, the PS4 was pretty much close to that with Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk and
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of
like,
Tsushima.
oh no, I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk might have actually blown up some people's PS4s.
And even like Death Stranding to some extent, like my PS4, and it was later half of the generation, the new
I had a Pro, so my Pro fared okay, but it was as loud as a plane taking off. Fans in the Pros were like obscenely loud for no reason.
Well, I had an OG PS4 release day PS4, and by the time I was getting
quieter.
by the time I got to my PS5 upgrade, it was fucking Heathrow Airport in my bedroom every time I was playing it. But back to the game, it's got fixed camera angles, and I like that. I love Resident Evil, the old classic style of fixed camera angles, and there is almost a sense of it being like that old school Resident Evil, almost like it is a pre-rendered background. The backgrounds are beautiful in this game, and I can't stress how good this game actually looks. The character models, bit off, and that's why I kind of feel I get that like pre-rendered background thing. It is slow, but so far it's enjoyable. I just don't think it should have been touted as this big, great next Xbox exclusive. I think maybe they should have just maybe played it down a little bit because at the moment it's a good game. I just don't feel like it's a great game. And if it's not a great game, like it's difficult to kind of put everything behind that. But we'll see. I'm gonna complete it. I'm gonna play it through, and we'll see what happens with that. Let's move on to story number 3. Once a daughter, always a daughter. This is really sad news. So, Jeanette Mouse, who is an actress portraying several characters in the new Resident Evil 8, has sadly passed away after battling colon cancer at the age of 39. In a tweet, the RE Dev 1 team said, "We here at Capcom, indeed one, are deeply saddened to hear about the passing of Jeanette Mouse, the talented actress who helped bring several characters, including our witches, to the world of Resident Evil Village. Our hearts go out to her and her family and loved ones." Mouse also suffered with Crohn's disease and contracted COVID-19 in 2020 as well. This was all highlighted by her fiance Dusty Warren in a GoFundMe page started after she found out that she had colon cancer in April. Jeanette was also well known for starring in Charm City Kings, Your Sister's Sister, and My Effortless Brilliance, as well as being an acting teacher and coach. It's always sad when somebody from the industry passes, and I think, like you said, she had such a year to find out. You know, she had Crohn's disease, which is not an easy thing to live with anyway.
No, and then she got COVID.
To find out this year in April she had colon cancer, and then to catch COVID, like the poor woman. It breaks my heart. And she's only 39 years old, like
at least she's not suffering anymore.
This is very true. And I'm even more excited now to see Resident Evil 8 when it comes out, because Jeanette Mouse, before this, didn't really know who she was. She's obviously well known for acting and everything else, and she has this coaching and teaching business. But I want to see this performance now, and I really want to see like who she is, what she fought for, what she delivered in those performances and stuff, because this is going to be like her big
magnum opus.
Goodbye, and I think it's going to be such a special moment to be able to see that. Are you familiar with her? Have you seen any of her works and stuff before?
I have not seen any of her other work. I have been told good things about Charm City Kings, but I'm not a big real TV things are not really my thing. Real people TVs, real people movies. I'm like a weeb, so I just watch cartoon people. But I might check some of her stuff out now, but I am really excited to see. I mean, Village just looks good anyway, so
Oh, have you played the Maiden
I'm
demo?
excited.
Oh, it's so good. There's no combat or anything in it, but it
Not really a
visually,
time I've been
yeah,
at
it's
work
so fucking good.
babysitting my stocks.
You got your actual baby in one arm and your Robin Hood app in the other, like
I
baby
don't invest
babies.
with Robinhood because I don't know. I've never liked Robinhood, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad I decided to never go with them because I'd be screwed right now.
For anybody interested, the Jeanette's GoFundMe page is still live, and I think that they're going to be just raising those funds and stuff, maybe to put towards a good cause. So if you do know of her and respect her work or anything like that, I implore you to go find this GoFundMe page and donate and pay respects or whatever whenever you see these posts on Twitter and Instagram. Moving on to story number
I
4.
know it's the bullshit story.
Yeah. More diversity. That sounds like more of a you thing than a me thing. So Activision has come under fire after the AFL-CIO, the US's largest labor federation, has submitted to shareholders proposing that Activision and EA use the Rooney Rule when it comes to considering candidates for new positions within the company. For those who don't know, the Rooney Rule was adopted by the NFL, which basically calls for at least one diverse candidate to be interviewed for every head coach vacancy. In terms of the two video game publishers, the adoption of the rule would help create a more diverse and a more diverse workforce at all levels within the company and can enhance long-term company performance. Activision, however, handed it back and volleyed a statement saying that this to the SEC to make them exempt from bringing this into their shareholders this summer's annual meeting. The reason for this, it's too much work for them and it would lead to the company not being able to do its business and compete for talent in a highly competitive and fast-moving market. In an update, Activision has put out a statement saying that the original Vice article has mischaracterized the SEC findings made by the company's attorneys, and that the company's issue with the AFL-CIO's proposal was its lack of clarity on how the Rooney Rule can be implemented in all of the countries that they operate in. Oh, that was a fucking wordy thing with all the acronyms and everything else.
Well, I think this is such a weaselly piece of garbage. Like, the
Yeah.
Rooney Rule is just that you have to interview a diverse candidate for every position. Just one, just an interview.
Yeah.
That's it. All you have to do. You don't have to hire them. It's not required. It's just interview them. And obviously, they would make exceptions if you operated in somewhere like Saudi Arabia, because that obviously couldn't be followed there. Like, they're obviously not going to be unreasonable, but the majority, I'm sorry, Activision, you are a US based company, and there are plenty of diverse people trying to get into that industry.
I think
It's not that hard.
I think it's bullshit, to be honest with you. Plain and simple, it's
Bullshit.
bullshit. Like, you've got 9,000 employees, I think I read somewhere that Activision holds. You're telling me that in 9,000 people, you could not work in a way to be able to interview one diverse candidate per job role? And
Which means like one woman or one person of color or one LGBT person
and to some extent,
position.
I do understand where they're coming from in, hey, like, we may not be able to react to something as quickly as we like because we may have to follow this rule. But surely there is a way to say, if I put a job posting out there and say, tomorrow I would like, I want to put an advert out tomorrow for a new lead programming designer. Okay, cool. That's fine. That follows the Rooney Rule. But also tomorrow I find out that Amy Hennig's looking for a new job and I want to go and hire her. Like, there should be a way for me to be able to do that and not have to follow the Rooney Rule because I'm going after a specific person because of their talent and everything else, not for a generic job posting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I don't see what the issue is because I can't see how they could not write back to this finding and say, we agree, but we would like to have a rule in there that says under special circumstances, i.e. going after one individual because of their reputation or whatever, is exempt from the Rooney Rule, because it's a different kettle of fish. You're not putting out a job for one whole role that many people are going to apply for.
You're specifically trying to recruit one person to do a specific job.
Exactly. So
it's a whole lot of bullshit. It's a whole lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
That corporate executives, corporate executives.
Yeah.
All right.
But what I really love about this story, though, is this has been put forward to Activision, but it's also been put forward to EA, and EA's kind of just been like, yeah, we'll do it. It's fine. We don't want to. We're already the worst company. We don't want the bad press anymore.
We've
We're just
literally
gonna do
been
it.
voted the worst company in America twice. So you know what? We'll just
Yeah.
leave this alone. It's cool.
Yeah, it's like you can have this one,
Ugh.
Blizzard. I think rounding this one up, bullshit. Don't fuck around, Activision. Just do the right thing. Be a human being. Be a corporate entity, but also understand that they have to live by modern standards. And modern standards mean you need to interview a pool of people, and it needs to be diverse because there are so many people out there that are
That's
creative.
what's representative of the talent pool.
Yeah, there's so many people out there that are super fucking talented that are from these diverse backgrounds, be it
You're telling me you
ethnicity
can't.
or sexuality or gender or
You're
whatever
telling
it
me that
is.
you can't interview. So for every position, you will only like it's just saying interview one person who isn't a white man.
Yeah,
That's literally it.
yeah,
Interview one person who isn't a white man.
yeah. Bullshit. Right, done with this. It's making me mad. Story number 5. Let's have a
Same.
little bit of fun with this one. Story number 5 is Cyberbonk 2069. Please stop bonking Mr. Reeves. So, Cyberpunk this week allowed PC mods officially, and then they had to take some of the mods down after it came into circulation that people were allowing you to swap out the sex worker models for models of Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand. So in bonk bonk sif in
People are thirsty for Keanu.
Oh yeah, in Cyberpunk, I don't know if you played it, but for anyone that hasn't, there are parts in the game where you can approach a sex worker, pay them a little bit of money, and go have a bonk bonk fun time. And these models are either male, female. I don't actually think that they have any diversity in that. I think it is just male option or female option. And you can go bonk bonk. So it is very strange and not like surprising that people have swapped those character models out.
Cutscene's the same every time.
Reels.
It's not that interesting.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I know that.
I mean, we all
You're
know
not required
how you know.
to answer that question.
CD Projekt Red has had to put out a statement, although this one I don't think was on a yellow background. Our most important rule regarding user-generated content, game mods in particular, is that it can't be harmful towards others. In the case of swapping models, especially those that involve explicit situations, it can be perceived as such by the people who has lent us their appearance for the purpose of creating characters in Cyberpunk 2077. Therefore, when making fan content, creators have to make sure that they've got permission from all of the concerned parties, which might be people other than CD Projekt Red. For the characters we've invented in the game, we are broadly permitted you to tweak in the game and will let you have fun. When it comes to models of real people whom we've asked to participate in the game, we kindly ask you to refrain from using them in any situation that might be found offensive or if you don't have their explicit permission. So in other words, if you want to make your own wanky bonk bonk characters, then that's fine, but you can't make wanky bonk bonk characters of Keanu Reeves.
Yes. I mean, I get it. It's a lot like I don't know how many people were aware of the whole Ellen Page, David Cage thing that went on a while. I'm sorry, Elliot now. My bad. Genuinely actually feel bad about that. It's something I'm just gonna have to get used to it. I don't talk about him very much, so he asked explicitly that there be no nude scenes of him in Beyond Two Souls, and then David Cage went, fuck that.
Tough.
And made like shower scenes and shit, and that's
Yeah.
just like not. So I kind of appreciate this because one, much like fan fiction, like actualized fan fiction written about two real actual people, this is a little weird.
Yeah.
And if you don't have somebody's permission to bonk them in a video game, maybe don't.
I think it's one of those things where everybody has wants, desires, fantasies, and everything else, and usually they are internalized in here. And we're now given a medium where we can make them tangible to some extent. and I do think that when it comes to real life people or any really any NCP really, apart from those that explicitly have signed up to be the sex worker model, if you're swapping them in and out, you're doing something that puts that original person in a position where they didn't sign up for that. And for me, it goes back to the whole idea of consent. Like, nobody said yes to this, so it's not okay. So if they didn't say yes, it always means no. Strangely, though, this isn't the only bit of news for Cyberpunk this week, as I don't know if you've heard, but Elon Musk has got into the conversation and has managed to raise their stock value. So Elon Musk came out with his new Tesla car and said that it's got this.
I mean, Elon Musk helped raise the GameStop one too.
Yeah.
The man he says anything and people take it as like gold.
Gospel, yeah. So he came out and said, like, I've got this new car, it's got a super powerful game rig in it, and it can play The Witcher 3. So the stock started to go up a little bit. He then started to make comments on how Cyberpunk was like a super visually stunning game, and that then brought up an even further boost, which brings them into a raise of 19% of their overall stock value, which is its highest raise since 2015. Now, when I first read this, I honest to God thought, as I was reading the quote and the tweets and stuff, that Elon Musk was going to come out and say that Cyberpunk 2077 runs on his car, and I was about to get raged and be like, how the fuck can he get it to run on a bastard car when CD Projekt Red can't even get it to work on a fucking console? But it never happened, so I don't have to be raged by that. Inara, would you like to add anything else to this little bonky session?
No, I mean, like, just, if you've got fantasies, like, the thing that as somebody who's been a part of like the fan fiction community since longer than you could like do realistic mods in video games, it's just always been weird to me when people try to bring their fantasies about real life people to life. It's just keep it in your brain. Brain is where it goes, because the person that you're fantasizing about might be kind of uncomfortable with that.
Exactly. And I think it almost goes back to the conversation we had last week with in last week's news with Llama, when the Microsoft had brought out the patent to be able to make a chatbot of pretty much anybody, including dead people. Like, by giving that chatbot certain information, fit photos and all that kind of stuff, it becomes a very uncomfortable situation because you're creating something that's for your own satisfaction that somebody else isn't aware of.
Yes.
And I think that's totally not fair.
It's bizarre and uncomfortable.
Yeah. Gamers gonna be bizarre and uncomfortable though, aren't they? Speaking of bizarre and uncomfortable, story number 6. Judgment Day is coming. We need to go and find John and get him out of Crypt Key's basement. Sophia the robot.
I'm uncomfortable and I don't want it.
Yeah. Sophia the robot creators have announced that they are planning to bring her to mass production by the end of the year. Joined by 2 other models, the Hanson Robotics company will be rolling out the factories starting in the next few months, I believe it is, of 2021. In a statement given by Sophia the robot herself while giving a tour of the facility, she said, "Special robots like me can help take care of sick or elderly. I can help communicate, give therapy, and provide social stimulation, even in difficult situations." So we're going to get murdered by robots.
Did none of these people watch The Terminator at all? I don't have any comments. I'm just going to go hide somewhere safe with lots of weapons with which to defend myself.
This year is just too much already. So we obviously had all the craziness with
this isn't 2021. This is 2022 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, this is like the special director's edition where he put all the extra bits in that got cut from the main version of this thing.
Yeah, like, I don't want this. Stop it.
I can't with 2021 anymore. So, capital attacks, okay, cool. GameSpot stocks have been fucked up. All right, fair enough. We're bonking Keanu Reeves, and now robots are coming out of the factory. Like, I can't. I'm gonna sign off now.
Oh.
I
No,
let's take a
take
serious
me somewhere
conversation.
else.
Yeah.
Aliens. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
in all of these situations. I think it's cool we can do this. I think it's cool that Sophia exists and all the different kind of robotic advancements that we've made over the last sort of 10 years are amazing. But with these kind of things,
I
I
worry
think
about
it should
ethics.
be ethics is one thing, but I think the main thing that needs to be kept in mind is just because we can shouldn't mean we should, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
because we
It's
can
cool.
make
We
a
can create
human,
AIs. We
yeah,
can. Yeah.
it doesn't mean that we
But
should.
the ethics of this, I mean, we go all the way to like, the Mass Effect 3 question, does this unit have a soul?
Oh,
Like
blue, red, or
like
green. That was the endings, right? For Mass Effect. Is that my choice? No? Oh, did I lose
red.
her? Red. Okay, cool.
Uh,
um,
but
it's
also, no, this whole like the whole like does this like you are creating if you create something that's sentient that is aware of its and can grow and change. We haven't answered even in science fiction the most important questions about artificial intelligence yet. We can't start making it now.
I I think it is very cool that we can do these things. I think there are certain situations where a robot could probably be more wiser than maybe putting a human being in that situation or anything like that. My big problem is the whole world is struggling for the longest time now when it comes to jobs, economy, working sectors, everything else, and we've seen more and more things become automated. Like, I don't know if you have the same thing in the US, but here in the UK, you go to the
Mhm.
supermarket and half the tills have disappeared and been replaced by self-service desks.
Auto, like, yeah,
Yeah,
self
also,
ones,
yeah,
yeah.
auto checkouts and everything else. You know, you've got Amazon working on deliveries to be made by drones. You've got car factories that
I can go to a
work.
gas station, scan everything on my phone, and then pay for
Yeah,
it with Google Pay and leave without ever speaking to an
yeah.
employee.
There is I work in hospitality. Hospitality has been massively hit by this COVID pandemic and everything else. But there was a big worry a few years ago as they've started introducing robotic receptionists that could check you in and out. People, robots that could serve drinks in a bar and everything else. And you're taking
Mhm.
jobs away from people. And I think, again, just because you can shouldn't mean you should. Like, things can be done by artificial intelligence and robotics to some degree, i.e., a car factory manufacturing line, you know, adding all the bits together and everything else. But don't start replacing people. Don't start making robots care after our sick and elderly. Like, that is a human thing. There's something
Mhm.
only we can provide. That love and care and attention can only be given by us.
Maybe probably the only doctor job a robot should do is a surgeon because they don't talk to their patients anyway.
Yeah. It's just I think it's very cool, but at the same time, we shouldn't be replacing everything. There still needs to be a very human element at
No.
the core of everything that we do, because that's what makes us human. Sorry, Sophia, you ain't human. You ain't looking after my mum.
No, nah. Then my biggest problem is the further we get down, we yeah, we'll replace jobs, we'll ruin jobs, but there's still, the ethical implication of creating something that is conscious and sentient.
Hmm.
Like, then does that thing have rights? Is that a person now? Like, it
Hmm.
might not be human, but is it a person? We're not ready for these questions as a society. I
And
mean, we don't even treat other human beings very well. So,
as a whole planet of sentient species of humans and everything else, we have proven time and time again that with science and technology and everything else, we cannot be trusted with it. We can't be
nope.
trusted with science because we make bombs. We can't be trusted with computers because we make programs to hack people and steal their information. Like, we can't be trusted with borders and security and everything else because we invade and we take over. Make a robot army. What the fuck's gonna happen then? If you've got, I just no. I'm gonna move on to the next story.
Okay, yeah, we need to move. We need to move on, or we're going to go on forever about how this is a terrible, terrible idea.
Story number 7: X Boy or X Go or Xbox Series on the Move XS. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about why Microsoft never brought out a handheld. Have you ever wondered why this is? Taking on Microsoft and to some lesser extent well, a lot lesser actually, Sony in the handheld market. Xbox has never made this move before. Well, former Xbox boss is here to spill the beans on why Xbox on the go system was never made. Robbie Batch, who was the president of entertainment and devices at Xbox from 2001 to 2010, said that the idea of a portable system just wouldn't die. On at least 3 separate occasions, Robbie said no to a team that brought him concepts for the portable device. His reasoning being that Microsoft just didn't have the bandwidth to support it. In an interview, he went on to say, I have great respect for Sony and Nintendo for being able to be in both of those markets because everyone says, oh, a console and portable device are related and there's a lot of leverage and I think it's easy to move on from one to the other. Patch said. And I think there's actually, at times, where the Switch has managed to change it all, I suppose, but at the time it was pretty different, and it would have meant starting up a whole nother team. It would be like starting Xbox all over again and except this time creating a handheld, and we just didn't have the bandwidth to do that. It's a shame that we never got to see an X-Boy, which was one of the names that was floating around for it, but at least we have seen that Mr. Spence has reborn the project to some degree in the recent released xCloud platform. What do you think, Anara? Would you have liked to see an X-Boy?
No, because Sony's attempts failed too. Here's my thing is the handheld market, even Sony attempting to go up against Nintendo lost because the handheld market has been owned by Nintendo for like 30 years and they're never giving that up. There's a reason Nintendo, despite having a console that massively failed for them, continues to exist because by all accounts, like the Wii U could have bankrupted a poor console that sold so poorly.
Yeah.
But they still had the DS, the 3DS. I mean, like when you look at there's a list online for like the top selling consoles. Top selling video game console of all time is the PlayStation, immediately followed by the Nintendo DS.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo owns the handheld market. Even if Microsoft had tried and put something out, it probably would have just gone the way of the PSP and the Vita, which is to say obsolete and very much dead.
But the problem is that Nintendo cornered that corner of the market so early on with the Game Boy that years down the line,
when nobody else was even considering it.
Yeah, to try and break into that is very difficult. We also live in an age, and at this time as well, Sony was trying to do the PSP and the PS Vita and everything else.
I love
the PS
Vita, but
for the Vita, I love the Vita. It was an incredible machine. They just left it there to die. They just didn't support it, which breaks my heart.
But it wasn't making any. The biggest problem was there wasn't like demand for it. I worked for GameStop at the height of the Vita, and there still wasn't a lot of demand because when people thought handheld, you think handheld gaming device, you think about Nintendo.
I think the thing that they faced within all this is this era, 2001 to 2010, is the rise of the smartphone and the app stores and all that kind of stuff. So when people are so easily getting games on their phones and stuff, why would you then turn to another expensive thing when you're looking for that kind of experience? Because at this point, you've either bought into a DS or a Nintendo device because of a long history of gaming catalog, your Pokemons, your Zeldas, your Mario Kart, all those kind of things that were
Ace Attorney games, the Professor Layton games. That stuff was all DS
deeply,
and Game Boy.
Yeah,
it was all Game Boy
deeply
stuff.
Rooted in that device. That you're going to continue to buy those devices as they refresh it and everything else. To come into that market with an Xbox portable would have been disastrous, and I would hesitate to guess
suicide.
Yeah, I would hesitate to guess that if they had done that, maybe Xbox wouldn't be around today because they had a real problem in the 360 era, and I think if they also then had this on top of that,
as well as then for the following issues where this past generation they came in dead last place, including after a console that didn't come out until a couple of years after theirs did.
Yeah,
Microsoft and gaming have not had the best go. The 360 generation was kind of an up. 360 was arguably the better of the two. between the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Like, it was just a better console, but it was riddled with hardware problems. It had a better library, but it would just break randomly.
Mhm.
You'd have to buy a new one. They have had a problem with every console they've released. So
I think
now, I
Xbox.
guess.
Yeah, Microsoft and Xbox has always struggled in one way or the other. Either it's with its hardware, or with its software, or with its marketing. So one of those things have always held Microsoft back. And
For the 360, it was the hardware. On the one, it was both the software and the marketing.
yeah,
Because they screwed themselves at the beginning when they said you'd always have to have an online connection to even play the
exactly.
thing. Because then people were like, "Well, I don't want that." Then,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So I think they've really struggled with that, and I think in the last few years, maybe the last 5 years, and I might be wrong, don't come after me, they're only just starting to get their shit together with Game Pass and building this ecosystem and this platform rather
Game Pass
than
is like the
yeah.
best value for your money thing in
It's
gaming.
crazy.
Like, period.
Yeah, but I think if they'd gone and done this back then, I don't think Xbox would be around today.
Nope.
However,
It'd be a Sony and Nintendo war all over again.
However, I am a little bit sad because I just want to see what that would look like. What would like a little Xbox on the go machine look like?
Draft up some design documents. Let me see what this thing looks like.
Let's hypothetically speaking.
The PSP and the Vita were kind of bizarre in their design.
The whole Vita
PSP
thing,
more exclusively because of the teeny tiny analog that was not comfortable for anyone to use.
For me, the Vita, they almost had it.
Mm-hmm. I love the Vita.
They almost made it with the Vita, because with the PSP, I don't know who's owned it. I know you've obviously had one and played and stuff. The Vita for me felt like not quite a Nintendo level of games where they were having like original releases and fun things to do. It almost felt like the PSP was a side mission. So like every franchise seemed to have like a side game that was kind of like almost like a DLC or something, but not quite a DLC, like a very big DLC.
And then you could get like other games, like you could get Persona 4 Golden on your Vita and play it, you know. And the PSP had like 2 sellers. That were very good. It was Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core.
Mm-hmm.
It was Zack, my beautiful baby boy, in it, and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. And those are the only 2 games from that console that anyone remembers.
Yeah.
Because they were parts of 2 well-established Square Enix franchises.
Yeah. The Vita,
it was
they could have got there. The issue that they had was that fucking proprietary SD card. If they hadn't have done that,
are awful.
If they hadn't have done that and just gone for a standard micro SD, I don't think
how
the Vita
Nintendo
would have
did?
Yeah, like Nintendo.
Like, you can get proprietary cool Nintendo ones, but you could also just buy a SanDisk one at Walmart for $20 and call it a day.
Yeah, it's so crazy because, you know, we talk of the Switch as the first hybrid console, but the Vita did all this. The Vita, you could connect to a TV and play your games on the TV.
Murdered itself.
Yeah, like it
just self-immolated over it.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. But they got some aspects right. Vita had a really fairly strong library of titles. They just didn't have enough first-party investment, and they didn't have enough third-party ports.
And that memory card.
Yeah, and the memory card
was just awful. They were so expensive.
I remember was it like 12 gigabyte card or something? I can't remember what it was. It was like the smallest.
The 8 gig ones was the smallest one, and it was like $60.
Yeah, it was that one. So I had a PSP, I had a Vita, and a small thingy, and it was £75 to buy the memory card, and I was just like, why? Even now, if you go to buy it secondhand, the little memory cards are super fucking expensive.
Because they're impossible to find. Yeah. That's why. Because GameStop,
crazy.
We priced them at like, I'm gonna say the last one that I saw was a 12, and it was like at like 120. But it's because like it's the first one I've seen in years because they just don't exist anywhere.
Crazy. Let's move on to our last story of this week, which goes a little bit like this. Mum, no, I did that wrong. Mum says, "Throw that away before I throw it away for you." Konami says, but we haven't finished with it yet. Konami if you haven't already been aware of this company, used to be a very big publisher of the old video games. If you cast your mind back to the 90s,
pachinko machines.
yeah, they were a powerhouse and saw great classic and original titles such as Silent Hill, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, and Dance Dance Revolution. But in recent years, it has shifted its focus from video games and has kind of been going towards pachinko machines instead.
Gambling. That's what they do now. It's gambling.
Why? I don't know.
Help.
And even more sad is that they use those franchises to push the pachinko machine. Yeah, you can get a Metal Gear Solid 3
themed pachinko machine.
It's crazy. So anyway, the company put out an announcement to its investors stating that the 3 production divisions of its video game business are going to be restructured and dissolved to help the company, quote, respond to the rapid gaming market around us, end quote, as many assumed this was the end of Konami's gaming focus. But Konami has come out and said, hang on a minute, we're going to clear this up. We're not shutting down production on video games full stop, but consolidating the teams to make the production easier. This is due to the fact that under the old system, the 3 production divisions supervised the departments, and now they've removed that, and the divisions or departments just answer straight to the management team. So in a quote they said, the production departments will report directly to upper management, allowing them to respond quickly to the market. So hopefully they will be making more games in the future, not just Pro Evolution Soccer. What do you reckon?
Fuck you, Konami. Right now, the brain behind one of its most popular franchises. They haven't made a good Castlevania game in a really long time, to the point that like other people had to start doing it. I mean, that's what Bloodstained is. It's just a Castlevania game that's good again. They clearly do not care about video. The last Metal Gear game they released was Metal Gear Survive, which was a garbage tier cash in of a game that it's bad.
Yeah,
I wish they would stop.
Yep.
Just make your pachinko machines and fade out of existence.
What I really want them to do is one of 2 things. So either they stop fucking around and go, look at this amazing library of games that we've got. Let's start making video games again and actually invest time into these production teams and time into these IPs and bring back these franchises in a very good state. Or they go, fuck it, we don't want to do this anymore. We just want to make pachinko machines because it's gambling and it makes us money. However, to the highest bidder, we will allow you to make a Silent Hill game or a Metal Gear Solid game or whatever it is. Either sell those franchises off
those franchises, because
or
like
license them out to companies to be able to make the games.
License them or sell them off. I don't trust Konami to make good video games anymore because it has been so long since they made one.
It's so sad because you look at the potential PT, which to this day still drives everybody crazy. If you can get your hands on a PS4 with that loaded up on it.
I still have it downloaded. I wonder if somebody would pay me for it.
Is worth a fortune. I'm telling you now. Like, it is ridiculous how much those things sell for on eBay. But that one small playable teaser set the world on fire for Silent Hill again, because we're so desperate for that franchise to return. You know, with the whole split with Konami and Kojima, whatever happened there, the reason it was so sad is because we knew Konami would never be able to make another Metal Gear Solid game without Kojima. It was just never going to happen. Like, it's never going to be the same. Things like Castlevania, like I said, other companies are going out there and making Castlevania, Metroid-esque games because they just don't exist in the old way that they used to. All that Konami seems to do.
How Nintendo forgot about Metroid.
Yeah, but, they're just other people are having to make these games because these franchises that are loved are just not being loved by the people that own them. So go give it to people that love it. Like let Konami have Metal Gear Solid back. I mean, he probably wouldn't want to make a fucking game about it again anyway, but like let somebody else. There's a rumor going around that
I don't want Kojima to make video games anymore without somebody to edit his work.
That's very true. He does need somebody to rein him in a little bit. However,
that's why his work was so good when he was under Konami, is because he had somebody to go,
listen,
Chill.
I like this, but less. Let's tone this down a little bit. It's just a sad situation, and I just wish that they would let people have a go at making those games. There's the rumor that's going around that Blue Point, the guys that did this Demon Souls remake and the Last Guardian,
They did such a good
yeah,
job.
I'm working on a Metal Gear Solid remake. How true that is, I don't know. I really hope it is true because I
I've
would
heard
love
nothing.
to see them take that on and make a PS5 exclusive version of the game. But let people do it. Let people work on these things, whatever it is. An hour. That's it. That's the news done for this week.
Mm.
What a week.
This
There's
is
some
a
highs.
week.
There's been some lows. There's been some real lows.
Currently, GME stock is high again.
Yeah.
This
This week's news has
at the
been
start of the stream.
yeah. This news has been like the stock market itself, up and down this week. Before we round out this episode, though, I want to tell you what's going on in releases this week, and there is a little parentheses that I'm going to have a quick conversation about this. Control Ultimate Edition for the PS5 and Xbox Series is available on the 2nd of February. I can't wait for this to come out. Yeah. On PS Plus
also
this
a PS
month,
Plus game.
we're getting this game. I've just started playing this game on stream. It's so fucking good. I'm really enjoying it, but I can't wait to get it on my PS5 for 1, trophies, and 2, upgraded visuals. However, there are a lot of people out there that are pissed about this because they've either A, purchased the Ultimate Edition, or B, were already upset because they released this Ultimate Edition in the first place. So if you didn't know, this whole generation transition and everything else, they
majority
did this
of games
thing
are upgrading for free.
Yeah, so they're doing like a smart delivery concept. So if you buy it on a last gen console, you will get the new gen console version of it for free when it's available. But Control came out with a few other companies and went,
they're like, buy me again.
We ain't doing that. You're gonna have to buy it again. And I understand to some extent because
the only other company I know that did that was Activision with Call of Duty of all things.
Yeah, but there's also NBNK or whatever it is, the baseball thing.
The NBA. It's mostly like the big AAA. Yeah, that's NBA 2K21.
Yeah.
You have to buy the special. So the way that they did it is you could buy, if you bought the last gen version, you would have to buy the next gen version if you wanted to upgrade, or you could pay extra money to get the version that worked on both.
Yeah.
That's just
But in the case of Control, the guys that made that game have come out and said, look, it's not just a case of us turning the quality up on the game. It's a whole new engine that it's being used for to run on these next gen consoles, which is why we've had to attach a price tag to it. So I get it to some extent. If it's taken the developers longer and more time to make these changes, then fair enough. Let them charge a little bit for it. I just think maybe an upgrade fee would have been better rather than buying a whole new $70 game, £70 game, whatever it is. But aside that, super excited for this. Can't wait to play it. The next one, and also a PS Plus freebie, is Destruction All Stars, which is coming out on PS5 on the 2nd of February. YS WizX Monstrum Nox. I've completely fucked that up, but I apologize. So it's YSIX Monstrum Nox is coming out on the 2nd of February. And I forgot to put the consoles on there. If you're into that game, you probably know what it's coming on. Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood is coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and the PC on the 4th of February. And the Noir Collection is coming out on the PS5 on the 5th of February. Are you going to pick up any of these games, Anara?
Sorry, I'm being attacked by a cat.
Kitty cat's attack.
Probably, but I've been playing forever. Other than that, like, I mean, I'll download Control, but I've played it already, so I don't really know, like, all the way through played it already, so I don't really know that I'm gonna get much play out of it.
I watched a really...
The Neo Collection would be cool, but I didn't like those games enough to buy them another time, if that makes sense.
The Control thing, I watched a really interesting video. I think it was... Maybe it was on... I can't remember who it was now. It was a YouTube video anyway. And the difference... This was just baseline Control from Xbox to Xbox Series X. the mass improvement that
Yeah.
that console gave that game in terms of its stability and frame rate and all that kind of stuff. I'm super excited to see what that means when it comes to a version that's totally built for that console. Because I think Control is such a
Yeah.
good game, and I'm so glad that I delved into it, and so glad that it was on Game Pass for me to be able to do that, because I knew about Control, I was fairly interested in it, but not enough to put a purchase down. And now I played it, I'm gonna buy it. Well, I'm not gonna buy it. I'm gonna get it free twice. But hey, that's how the world works.
Yay!
I have a very quick thing just on this thing. We've been talking and stuff in the chat, and if you've been following me on Twitter or whatever, you'll know this. I started playing Persona 5. Now, I am super into Persona 5, but I have a question. I'm only like maybe 4 days into the school year or whatever it is. I don't know how many days it is. Before I continue, should I buy Persona 5 Royal?
Yes.
And just play Persona 5 Royal and just leave
Yes.
Persona 5 alone? Or should I
Yes.
just continue?
Yes.
Buy Royal?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm going to buy Royal then.
Royal is kind of like the definitive edition of the game. It has another palace. It has like a couple new confidants. It has like a whole other storyline added with another character. Royal has way more content.
Yeah, because I also heard that the ending
Also,
for
the soundtrack's a little bit different.
yeah,
So.
the ending for Royal is a little bit better than the original.
Yes.
So, okay, cool. That's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to stop playing Persona 5. I'm going to download the Royal. I'm going to pay for it.
And you will notice almost right away that it's different. Like, Royal isn't just like a re-release of a game with the DLC added. Even some of the cutscenes in the beginning of the game are made different to kind of go along with the new stories they added. They did a lot of work on it.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Cool. That's what I'm going to do. Because I'm really am pleasantly surprised at how much I'm into this game, because JRPGs are not normally my thing. I dabble in and out of Final Fantasy. I never really complete a game when it comes to Final Fantasy. I've never really played any other JRPGs. Usually I'll start it up and everything just feels very confusing and I don't know what's going on, and I just turn it off and leave it alone.
There's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, a lot of numbers and things.
Numbers.
Yeah. But there's just something about Persona that it's like this hybrid of an anime and actually playing the game, and I'm just really into it stylistically. I love the fact that it's a little bit dark.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into spoilers, but we spoke a little bit earlier.
The people who made it love it as much as we do. That's the thing I think that you're feeling is we don't get a whole lot of games that feel like they got a lot of love injected into them.
Yeah.
This game feels like people love it.
Yeah, even to the point where today I actually spent a little bit of time while I was making lunch looking to see if I could pick up the other Persona games, because I wanted to see what other Persona games were out there, and that's only what 3-4 days in.
Pay attention when you're flicking through the menus.
Yeah.
Pay attention when you're flicking through the menus. Every single menu transition has a different animation.
Yeah. Sephoris
Every single
screaming
one.
Persona 3 in the chat.
Persona 3 FES for sure.
Yeah.
But also Persona 3 is my personal favorite of the Persona games, so I get it.
And Cold Soup is recommending Persona 4 Golden.
That would be the version of Persona 4 to play, would be Golden.
Cool. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. I'm going to do a little outro here. So as always, you can find us on social media by searching at Gaymers Assemble, which is GAYMERS because we're super gay, and Assemble because that's the normal spelling, so there's no changes there. You can always write into us, You can always write into us at gamersassemble@gmail.com. Same spelling as the name of the show. Write in with your comments, feedbacks, what you're liking, any suggestions for topics that we should cover in the podcast, or any news articles and stuff. Feel free, we always give them a read out. And make sure that if you are checking us out on YouTube or Twitch, make sure you hit the subscribe and follow buttons on the respective platforms, and always click the notification bell, because then you know when we go live and our new content goes up. Inara, are you going to come play some Phasmophobia with us?
Babies.
Oh dear. No, the baby. Alright then. Well, in about 45 minutes time, we shall be back with some Phasmophobia. We're going to get together and play, some of the guys here. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to scream. Sif and Bot
I'll
are
watch.
probably...
I'll support you guys
yeah.
from the Twitch chat.
Sif and Bot are probably going to be like, holy shit, what did we agree to? I can't believe we said yes to doing this, but it's all going to be fun. So make sure you stick around for that. Go get some snacks and drinks and whatever, and we shall see you in about 45 minutes' time. But as always, Anara, say goodnight.
Hey guys, if you have questions about the stock thing, feel free to ask or to explain in a blurb, and I can send you a wall of text.
And if you would like,
like the power,
yeah, if you would like
buy
to
a fractional share, put $5 in.
Yeah, if you would like to speak to me about stocks, don't, because I am a potato of the stock world, so you're going to get nothing more out of me than chips and mash, so don't bother about it. We will be back on Sunday with the next podcast episode, but we shall hope to see you in the stream later. Ta-ra for now!